Mr. Neal. Mr. Neal. The microphone for you, sir. Keep that ready.
It's great to be back here in Poughkeepsie. We're having a lot of fans. What?
That is a profoundly Texas shirt. Do you see this, people? This is, what would you call that? It's a cowboy shirt.
This shirt? I bought this shirt by Rob.
I love this. This is some really very good material.
We were up all night tying this.
But this is a cowboy shirt, is it not, man? Whoa! That's badass, dude. Pardon me.
I like skeletons.
So you know what? I want to get the rest of the Texas Chainsaw people up here. I want to, up
Just
from the graves rises Grandpa. Put your hands together for John Dugan. John Dugan, take it from here, man. Take it from here.
Afternoon, everybody. How are you?
Just the sober ones going up. TerI!
So what are we doing?
Okay.
Here comes Alan Danziger.
Alan Danziger, let's hear it for TerI! He hates that. And then concludes.
Here comes the lovely TerI McMinn. We're ready for your close-up, Miss McMinn.
My friend Michael's going to translate, okay? I want to say thank you to Michael for translating. Danke.
Sprechen Sie sehr gut Deutsch? Ein wenig?
Ein bisschen.
Ein bisschen?
Ein bisschen.
Ein bisschen? Nicht genug?
Nicht genug. Enough for those guys.
We have William Vail coming up here. William played Kirk. Say hello to William.
Okay, dann fangen wir mal an. Hat jemand Fragen von euch? Irgendeiner muss noch fragen. Komm, so ein toller Film. Me first. Okay, I'm gonna start asking questions. Yeah. Okay, Ari's gonna have the first question.
Okay. We have heard that when you made this first great American horror film, the conditions and the heat on the set are notorious. Translate.
Okay, er hat jetzt gesagt, er hat gehört, als dieser Film tatsächlich gedreht wurde damals, war an dem Drehort eine Hitze, die eigentlich unterirdisch war, die gar nicht auszuhalten war. Now, can you guys confirm that? The heat was like...
It was so hot, and the hottest part you probably don't realize is when we were in the van driving. We filmed those scenes for 4 days. The weather in Fahrenheit was 95 to 98 degrees, and we had to keep the windows rolled up, no air conditioning, and we had 3 crew in the back and the 5 of us inside the van. And they would film, and then we would stop, they would open the door, and we would fall out because it was so hot.
Also es war tatsächlich überirdisch heiß da gewesen, aber das Allerschlimmste war diese Szenen, die halt in diesem Van gedreht wurden. 70er Jahre, da gab es noch nichts mit Air Conditioning und laut Drehbuch musste das Fenster immer oben sein. Das heißt, die Schauspieler waren drin, aber die Filmcrew natürlich auch. Und das war so schlimm gewesen, weil die haben dann über 4 Stunden am Stück gefilmt, dass die bald alle zusammengeklappt sind. Und wo dann der Van endlich mal angehalten hat und alle konnten raus, ja, obwohl es draußen auch sehr heiß war, kam denen das dann schon wieder kühl vor. Also die sind dann alle zusammengebrochen.
It was so hot the day we were filming
Es war so heiß an dem Tag, als wir gefilmt haben,
that the birds
dass die Vögel
were walking.
nur noch gelaufen sind. Wer hat denn noch Fragen? Auch wenn Englisch nicht so gut ist, ich kann das gerne übersetzen. Hat auch bestimmt irgendeiner eine Frage zu. Oder zu den Leuten persönlich, ja?
Question to Mr. Dugan. How was it to replay the role of Grandpa in Texas Chain Saw 3D after so many years?
It was thrilling. It was kind of surrealistic. To be back in the makeup and the costume after 39 years. And the makeup, the new makeup, was much more comfortable than the old makeup. Makeup's come a long way in 40 years. But it looked so real to me and they made me stay in my trailer because it was 103 fucking degrees outside at 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, what's with you people? Have you never heard of November before? Why do you have to shoot in July? But they made me stay in my trailer, so I had lunch with myself at my makeup table. Just me and a table and a mirror. And I felt like I was having lunch with my late father, who passed away about 10 years ago. Because the makeup was so good that I looked very much like my father did shortly before he died, 88 years of age. It was thrilling, it was frightening, all of those things.
Also er hatte ihn gefragt, er spielt ja den Grandpa in dem originalen Teil, aber auch in der 3D-Version, was da jetzt so der Unterschied, der markante Unterschied war. Er hat gesagt, natürlich mit heutigen Technologien ist das Make-up viel komfortabler zu tragen. Was er sich natürlich auch fragt, warum muss so ein Film ausgerechnet im Juli gedreht werden, wo es sowieso schon heiß ist, warum kann man da nicht November, Dezember für nehmen? Ja, das ganze Make-up hat ihn ein bisschen an seinen verstorbenen Vater erinnert. Ja, ansonsten fand er es halt sehr gut, dass er halt in dem 3D-Film auch nochmal so mit aufgenommen worden ist. Noch eine Frage.
I have one question. What do you think of the two Michael Bay Chain Saw Massacre? What's your opinion of the films? Do you think they are good or bad?
I'll take that. I'm sorry, next question.
What do you think of the Michael Bay version of Texas Chain Saw Massacre?
They don't compare.
They don't compare.
That's the end of the comment. They don't compare.
Also er hat gefragt, was die davon halten mit dieser anderen Version von Texas Chain Saw Massacre, und er hat dann gesagt, also das ist überhaupt gar kein Vergleich.
Did you see the film Pearl Harbor?
Yes. Habt ihr den Film Pearl Harbor gesehen?
Michael Bay lost 40 million on that film.
Okay, Michael Bay hat 40 Millionen verloren an diesem Film.
So he makes a chainsaw movie to make the money back.
Aha, und deswegen hat er das Chainsaw Movie gemacht, um das Geld wieder reinzuholen. Ja, noch Fragen? Nicht schüchtern sein. Einfach fragen.
So, hello, I've got one question to the whole cast. I want to know when you are playing such a movie, when you are the crazy people and the man with the chainsaw and also the victims in the movie, how do you feel? Do the victims really feel scared in the movie, or is it that you know, okay, it's just a movie, or are you really scared when you play it and when you are running away from the man with the chainsaw? Yeah, how do you feel about that?
This is almost 40 years later. I'm still in therapy. You know, I've had electroshock therapy. I've tried a bunch of other therapies. Actually, it was pretty terrifying when I got killed. That was The rest of the time was a lot of fun for me. But the killing, because I had never seen Leatherface until that day, so it's pretty awesome.
Okay, ich übersetze das gerade. Also er hat gefragt, wie die sich als Opfer auch so gefühlt haben in dem Film, ob das tatsächlich so erschreckend war. Er ist immer noch in Therapie, hat es immer noch nicht überwunden. Nee, Spaß beiseite. Er sagt, bis zu dieser eigentlichen Szene hat er Leatherface gar nicht gesehen. Und wo er dann kam und getötet wurde, das war natürlich, ja, grauenhaft für ihn gewesen.
To Mr. Dugan, Gunnar Hansen has told me that he had really cut Sally in the figure for this feeding scene of Grandpa. So did you really suck her blood in that scene?
Apparently, I don't really need one. Apparently I did, but I did not realize it until just a few years ago. It was in a situation like this, we were on the stage with a Q&A. Marilyn did not know. She knew her finger was cut, but she didn't know it had been done intentionally. I didn't even know it had been cut, so I found out that I was actually sucking her blood about 4 or 5 years ago at a show like this on stage. And I was like, are you kidding me? No, that was one. So I just found out a few years ago. But everything's such a blur. It was 40 years ago, and I did a high-stress situation. I was just doing what I was told. Oh, yes, I sucked your finger. Yes, I did. Never mind. I'll drop that.
I need to tell them about the other funny with Marilyn. They were to put Marilyn in the chair and tie her up, right? And so they were looking for something to put in her mouth so she can't talk. They are looking about what she would be. Low-budget movie, right? Ah, here, use this rag. Oh, that is the rag they are cleaning the table with the old meat that's been on the table for 4 days. Not a problem, not a problem. And now Marilyn. And everybody's going, she's doing great. She's throwing up. She can't throw out because the rag is in her mouth. After the scene, they go cut, and everybody's walking over and going, that was great, that was great. And one of the little people working on the phone goes, she's choking to death.
Okay, also als die Marilyn tatsächlich an den Stuhl gefesselt war, hat man sich gefragt, was kann man der jetzt schnell in den Mund stecken, damit sie halt nicht reden kann. Und irgendeiner sagt, ey, da liegt so ein oller Lappen rum, dann nimm doch den. Jetzt war das allerdings der Lappen gewesen, mit dem die da den Saft, der da schon seit 3 Tagen in der brütenden Hitze auf dem Tisch war, abgewischt hatten. Haben ihr das in den Mund gesteckt und sie fängt dann an, Gesichter zu verziehen. Es kam alles hoch und die alle, oh, gute Schauspielerei, perfekt. Tatsächlich war es aber so gewesen, dass es ihr kotzübel war und wo die das Ding rausgeholt haben, hat sie dann auf dem Boden gelegen und auch tatsächlich gekotzt. Ja, noch mehr Fragen? Gott, Leute, das muss auch ein bisschen interessant sein hier. Kommst du noch nach vorne?
A question to all members of the cast, having heard about the circumstances now. Back in 1974, what was your perception of what you were actually doing? So were you aware that what you were doing there, I mean, people on film being treated with chainsaws, I think that had never happened before. Were you really aware, or was Toby aware that you were doing something completely groundbreaking, something genuine? What was your perception of what you were doing there?
Was Toby aware that we were doing something special?
Yes.
No. We thought maybe this film will be shown at, way out of town in a little theater with 4 seats, in a drive-in theater maybe where 2 cars, and that'll be the end of it. We didn't even want our name on the credits.
Okay, also die Frage war gewesen, ob man tatsächlich sich schon bewusst war damals, dass das hier so ein Türöffner für die nachkommende Horrorwelt ist. Die Frage ist natürlich nein, das wusste damals keiner. Die dachten alle, okay, Low-Budget-Movie. Wenn wir Glück haben, wird das in 1, 2, 3 Kinos gezeigt. Die wollten noch nicht mal ihre Namen hinten in den Credits drin haben, weil sie einfach gedacht haben, das ist es gar nicht wert.
And then, 2 weeks later, big success. We're on the phone going, make my name a little bigger.
Naja, und 2 Wochen später, wo sie gemerkt haben, der Film, der läuft so gut an, kam natürlich die Frage, könnt ihr meinen Namen noch größer abbilden? Ja, noch mehr Fragen? Komm Leute, helft mir mal ein bisschen. Hier hat doch bestimmt einer noch eine Frage.
Dortmund, vielen Dank.
Nee, keiner mehr? Absolut nicht? Dann frage ich einfach noch was. The setup, the original house where the main acting was that built for it, or was that really a house in the wide open?
No, that was an old German farmhouse out in the country outside of Austin, Texas. Okay. Been there for years. It was sort of if I recall, there was kind of a communal living situation happening.
Okay.
Several hippies, as it were. There was marijuana growing in the back.
Okay.
They moved out for several weeks so that we could take over.
Okay. So the same with the gas station and everything else too?
No, the gas station was existing. The gas station is still there. The house is no longer there. They moved the entire house.
Okay.
To like another town or something.
This low budget movie, they can't build anything.
Ja.
Turned into a B&B and restaurant.
Okay. Also ich habe gefragt, ob die Szenerie alles jetzt tatsächlich original so im Film sieht oder ob das tatsächlich noch umgebaut worden ist. Dadurch, dass es halt ein Low-Budget-Movie ist, hat man das so genommen, wie es war. Es wurden aber tatsächlich, oder es haben damals Leute da drin gewohnt, die dann für die Zeit in irgendein Hotel reingeschickt wurden, auch so die Tankstelle, alles. Das ist alles original, halt ganz weit weg vom Schuss, Hillbilly-mäßig. Ja, tatsächlich. Any more questions? Fragen?
Kannst du Englisch oder soll ich es übersetzen?
Kind of question. Did you know that in Germany have a German artist, Christoph Schlingensief, who started his career with his own version called the German Chain Saw Massacre. So the movie was not only an inspiration for horror movies, but also for, may I say, serious artists.
We know about German chains.
Nee, haben sie also noch nichts von gehört. Sind jetzt auch alle ganz überrascht. Well, I overheard something in a conversation with you, TerI, that you were actually saying the whole idea of Texas Chain Saw Massacre is based on something totally different. Would you like to tell the audience something about that?
There's a new film out about Alfred Hitchcock, and Helen Mirren and Anthony Hopkins star in it. And it's very interesting because Psycho, the movie that Hitchcock did, the character Norman Bates is based on Ed Guinn, who Leatherface is also based on. You want me to tell the whole thing? And then what happened was he had a lot of trouble with censorship in getting Psycho made because horror was very frowned upon back then. And the studios, would not let him show the woman being stabbed and all of the things. But he was always completely mesmerized by this serial killer. And Toby was also very taken by the story because it was one of the first serial killers in history that people really heard about. It was on the television news. It happened in Wisconsin, a small town. The man babysat for other people's children. He would come into town and buy things, and people were disappearing from the small town. And so Toby was one day shopping in Sears store in Austin. And he had made a movie that Alan was in, Eggshells. And he was really angry because there were all these people and he couldn't, go and buy things. And so he was just angry because of the crowd. And he thought, what would it be like if I just had a chainsaw and I went after all these people? And that was how he came up
Okay,
with it.
also es kommt ja dem nächsten Film raus, so eine Neuverfilmung über Alfred Hitchcock. Und da geht es auch hauptsächlich um den Film Psycho. Und was Psycho und Texas Chain Saw Massacre zusammen haben, beide Charaktere, also Norman Bates und Leatherface, basieren eigentlich auf dem Serienmörder Ed Guinn. Kennt ihr bestimmt alle. Die Idee dahinter ist, dass sowas vorher noch nie passiert ist. Und man hat halt versucht, weil damals die Horrorwelt noch nicht so breit gestreut war, wie es jetzt ist, Charaktere zu finden und die auch gleichzeitig ein bisschen zu erklären. Deswegen die Grundidee liegt bei Ed Guinn. Ja, zum Beispiel, wo der Film gedreht wurde, er ist in einen Laden reingegangen und wie es dann eigentlich zu Leatherface kam, er wollte da was kaufen und hat sich so geärgert, dass dann so viele Leute im Weg gestanden haben und er hat sich einfach im Kopf gedacht, es wäre jetzt cool, eine Kettensäge zu haben und einfach hier durchzulaufen und die alle zu massakrieren. Also darauf ist der Grundgedanke von Leatherface eigentlich entstanden. So, jetzt müsst ihr aber nochmal fragen, jetzt seid ihr nochmal dran. Gibt's noch Fragen? Komm. Du hast doch bestimmt eine Frage. Ja?
Have you ever taken a hitchhiker with your car after the movie?
Okay. I had not seen the film and I was very concerned about the red shorts I was wearing because I didn't want my mother or my aunt to see me in a film with those short red shorts. I was more afraid of them than I was of Leatherface. So I was with my girlfriend driving to Houston from Austin, Texas, where we filmed the movie. We were driving in my Volkswagen bus, and we'd been out drinking the night before, very partying hard, and we didn't feel so good, and I had on no makeup, and we saw this guy who was standing out hitchhiking, and I heard my friend say to me, "Oh, hitchhiker, you want to pick him up?" It's just the line from the movie, same as in the movie. And I said, and at this time we did pick up hitchhikers, we were hippies, and so I said, what does he look like? Same thing as in the movie. And she said, he looks he looks all right. So I pulled over, and this guy got in the van, and so he started talking, and I'm driving, I've got on my sunglasses, so you can't see, I have on no makeup. And I'm driving along, and he starts talking about he'd gone to a drive-in movie the night before, where you go in your car and you sit and you watch the film on a big screen, but you're inside your car, a drive-in movie we call them in the States. And so what happened was he began to talk about this chick that was hanging on a meat hook. And this guy had a chainsaw, and he was just going on and on about this movie. And I'm going, oh my God. And I'm wondering if he liked it, because I thought my acting was terrible, and this terrible. But he loved it. And I said, well, how did you like the girl on the meat hook? And he said, oh man, he really liked that. And so I finally turned around to him and I said, do you recognize me? And we really thought that we were going to have to give this guy artificial resuscitation or whatever, because he was so shocked that I was the girl in the film. And that's a true story.
Also die Frage war gewesen, ob die jemals dann auch Anhalter mitgenommen haben, nach dem, was dann halt in dem Film so passiert ist. Und sie ist tatsächlich da mit einer Freundin mal durch Texas durchgefahren mit einem alten VW-Bus. Man war halt Hippie damals gewesen. Und natürlich haben da überall immer Anhalter gestanden. Und sie fragte dann ihre Freundin, sollen wir den tatsächlich mitnehmen? Die sagt, ja, warum nicht? Der Typ kommt rein und sitzt hinten drin und fängt zu erzählen an, dass er am Tag vorher in einem Autokino war und einen ganz komischen Film gesehen hat, wo eine Frau an so einem Fleischerhaken gehangen hat und ein Typ verrückt mit Kettensäge rumgerannt ist. Und sie hat dann gefragt, ja und, wie fandst du den Film, wie fandst du denn die Frau, die da so gehangen hat? Er so, ja, war so ganz in Ordnung gewesen. Und sie zieht ihre Brille ab, dreht sich rum und sagt, und, erkennst du mich? Und da ist er dann bald umgefallen und brauchte künstliche Beatmung. Ist eine wahre Geschichte.
Let's welcome Marilyn Burns to the stage.
Sorry, guys.
Somebody must have some questions for Marilyn, so I'm going to hit the microphone over to her.
Sorry I'm a little bit late.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I have two questions. How high are the total costs of this movie, and how long was the production for this movie, for Texas Chain Saw Massacre?
We all had a very good time. The production was hard. It was very hot. We were very young and very confused. And I think some of that reality showed on film. And that just made the movie better. And it offered us to have a lot of surprises that weren't meant to happen when we were shooting. But it came out in the final product, and I think it enhanced the movie. But to say that none of the actors suffered miserably throughout the filming of it would be a big lie.
Also natürlich waren die Zeiten damals anders als heute, wie wir es eben auch schon gesagt haben. Die waren damals alle ganz jung, es wusste eigentlich keiner so richtig, auf was er sich da einlässt. Ja, die Umstände waren halt so, wie sie waren, man hat es hingenommen, man hätte nie gedacht, was da draus geworden ist, dass das Ganze vielleicht mal in so einem Kultstatus ändert, aber es hat tatsächlich die einzelnen Leben so beeinflusst, es ist nicht spurlos an denen vorbeigegangen. The real question was a little bit different. He wanted to know if you guys know how high the budget was and how long it actually took to finish the film.
Adrian, did you ask that question? The original budget, as I recall, the first lump sum of money we had was $85,000. Then that ran out, and they got some more money, so the budget became $135,000. And after post, I think the final budget came in at just over $200,000. Does that sound right? Yeah. So in post-production, it came to slightly like $225,000 altogether.
Also die Produktionskosten allein nur für den Dreh waren erstmal bei 85.000 angesetzt, dann hat man noch ein bisschen Geld reingepumpt, dann waren es 120. Die meinen jetzt so, nur für den reinen Film zu drehen, ohne irgendwelche Nachbearbeitungen oder Releases zu machen, dass man so ungefähr bei $225.000 gelegen hat. And the total time to finish the project, like from start?
We just agreed on 6 weeks. What happened with me is Toby would call me like after we'd finished shooting the whole picture and I thought I was done doing the Texas Chain Saw Massacre, he'd call me and say, Marilyn, I just need you for about half an hour just to do some shots on your eye. And I thought, what? He says, yeah, I just want some shots of your eyes. And I said, well, Toby, I do have a date tonight. And he goes, oh, you'll be finished in plenty of time, no problem. So I went over to the studio late around 5, and after shooting my eyes, like 5 to 11, I finally told my date I better not make it. But I mean, he had something in mind with my eyes, but it took him from like 5 to 11 to get the shot. And I think that was my the final ending. Because every day I kept waking up and thinking it was Groundhog Day. I was going to be called back again to do something more on the Texas Chain Saw Massacre. I never quite rested for a while until after that.
Also so die tatsächliche Zeit, bis der Film abgeschlossen war, waren ungefähr 6 Wochen. Sie musste danach allerdings dann nochmal rein, für nur Szenen mit den Augen zu machen, die wir ja so alle kennen. Und sie hatte an dem Abend eigentlich ein Date gehabt, wollte sich da mit einem charmanten jungen Mann treffen, aber Tobi hat dann gemeint, nein, du musst noch mal reinkommen. Also von 5 bis 11 wurden dann nur diese Szenen von ihren Augen gedreht und das war es dann auch mit dem Date gewesen. Noch mehr Fragen? Keine Fragen mehr? Do you have anything to say that's on your mind?
Thank everybody.
Okay, dann möchte ich mich ganz herzlich bedanken. Nochmal einen ganz großen Applaus an die Herrschaft.